On July 24, 1997, 24-year-old Amy Wroe Bechtel vanished while out on a run in the mountains of Wyoming. An accomplished athlete, newlywed, and rising coach, Amy seemed to have a promising future ahead of her. But on that summer afternoon, she disappeared without a trace, leaving behind one of Wyoming's most haunting unsolved mysteries. More than 2 decades later, her case remains unsolved, a puzzle of circumstantial evidence, suspicious behavior, and endless speculation. Amy was born in 1972 in Gillette, Wyoming, and grew up with a love of athletics. She excelled as a runner and studied exercise physiology at the University of Wyoming, where she also competed in track and field. Those who knew her described her as warm, disciplined, and deeply passionate about fitness and the outdoors. After graduation, she worked as a coach and trainer, helping others achieve their athletic goals. In May 1996, Amy married Steve Bechtel, another accomplished athlete and climber. The two shared a home in Lander, Wyoming, a small community at the base of the Wind River Mountains known for its rugged beauty and thriving outdoor culture. Together, they seemed like the ideal adventurous couple, living a life dedicated to the outdoors. On the morning of July 24, 1997, Amy had a busy schedule. She taught a fitness class at a local gym, ran errands around town, and told her husband she planned to go for a run later in the afternoon. At around 2:30 p.m., she was last seen at a camera store in Lander, where she inquired about film development. After leaving the store, she drove toward the Loop Road area of the Shoshone National Forest, a popular spot for runners and hikers. When Steve returned home later that evening, Amy was nowhere to be found. Initially, he thought she might have been delayed, but as the hours stretched on, concern grew. By nightfall, Steve contacted authorities, and a search effort was launched. The search for Amy quickly became one of the largest in Fremont County history. Volunteers, law enforcement, and search and rescue teams combed the rugged mountain terrain, while helicopters scouted from above. Her car, a white Toyota Tercel, was found parked near Burnt Gulch along the Loop Road. Inside, police found her keys still in the ignition and other personal belongings, suggesting she had intended to return. Despite exhaustive efforts, no trace of Amy herself was found, no clothing, no footprints, no signs of a struggle. The wilderness was vast, and the lack of clues frustrated searchers. As in most missing person cases, investigators first looked at those closest to Amy. Almost immediately, suspicion turned toward her husband, Steve Bechtel. His behavior in the days following her disappearance raised questions. Steve initially cooperated with police, but when investigators requested to conduct a polygraph test, he refused. He also declined to answer further questions without an attorney. Detectives noted that his demeanor seemed oddly detached, though supporters argued that everyone responds differently to trauma. The case against Steve was fueled by evidence found in his journals. In his personal writings, he expressed dark and violent fantasies, some of which investigators interpreted as disturbingly similar to Amy's disappearance. Steve insisted the writings were lyrics for a band he was part of, not confessions or intentions. Though authorities never charged Steve with a crime, he has remained the primary person of interest. Amy's family was divided. Some believed he knew more than he admitted, while others defended him, pointing to the lack of physical evidence. While suspicion fell heavily on Steve, investigators and amateur sleuths have explored other theories. One theory suggests Amy was the victim of a random abduction. Her car was parked in a public area where hikers and runners were common, and some believe a stranger may have taken advantage of the opportunity. However, no credible suspects or witnesses ever emerged to support this idea. Another theory involves serial killer Dale Wayne Eaton, who was active in Wyoming around the same time and was later convicted in the infamous Great Basin murders. Eaton was in the region in 1997, and some investigators have speculated he may have been responsible for Amy's disappearance. Yet no conclusive evidence ties him to the case. A third possibility is that Amy suffered an accident in the rugged terrain. The area around Loop Road is full of steep slopes, rivers, and dense forest. Some argue she may have fallen, been injured, or otherwise become incapacitated beyond the reach of searchers. Still, after extensive searches, this explanation seems less likely. More than 25 years have passed since Amy Bechtel vanished, and her case remains open. Law enforcement continues to classify her as a missing person, though she is widely presumed dead. Her family has endured decades of uncertainty, clinging to hope while grappling with the likelihood of tragedy.